Hi, I'm Brian, and welcome to the latest chapter or the latest installment, the latest in my series, if that's what it's going to turn out to be, called Three Plays, Three Picks. And the idea here is that I'm going to take an album which I haven't played for ages, whether it's just been gathering dust or whether it's an album I bought recently and still haven't played, give it three plays and come up with three picks that we can discuss, that I can recommend to you of this album, and also work out whether the album should be purged or whether the album should be kept. Maybe I'll come across an absolute classic. And today, from 1980, recorded in 1979, released in 1980, is the debut of Urban Verbs. Really cool cover there. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but it's really interesting to have those images wrapped in plastic. And on the back, we have the band. There they are. We've got the lead singer, we've got the guitarist, we've got the bass player, we've got the keyboard player, and we've got the drummer. And notice this is an original Australian pressing, and it was $1.50 on the at Grace Brothers back in the day. And so records haven't gone up that much because I bought this one for $10. Anyway, it's on the earth-shattering Warner Brothers label. And don't worry, you get a lyrics insert. How good's this? Look at the quality of this. That's fantastic. And the money and the time that went into the artwork on the back. Wow. You can just read whatever you want into that. Superb. Anyway, so let's go back to Urban Verbs. Who are they? So in 1980, they were right in the middle of the punk to post-punk to new wave movement, and they were soaking it all in with a lot of funk, obviously, as well. They played the Atlantis Club a lot in, I think it was Washington, and played at CBGB's. In 1980, also, they were going to tour with a band that was coming over from England, but unfortunately, the band never made it. And that band, of course, was the Incendiary Joy Division. Anyway, so who have we got? We've got on vocals, we've got Roddy Frantz. Now, he is the brother of Chris Frantz from Talking Heads. And I sort of those ideas, but Roddy and Chris get joined together. You know, it's almost like you have to say Roddy, brother of Chris Frantz from Talking Heads. Let's see if we can get away from that a little. We've got Robert Goldstein, who's the guitarist. We've got Linda Frantz, bass player. We've got Robin Rose doing some almighty synthesizer work, like incredible guitar playing of Robert Goldstein. And we also have Danny Frankel on the drums, and he is as tight as. So I suppose this is a really interesting album, and because every review I read about it comes down to, can you put up with or can you handle the vocals? Because Roddy is very histrionic and boisterous at times with his vocals, and that can be a little bit off-putting, because there's wonderful treasure in them there hills. So let's see if we can go in here and find some of this treasure and maybe sort of ameliorate the effect of the vocals and get some real pleasure out of it. So let's give it a shot, eh? Let's do it. So let's kick off the first side with the first single from the album, and it's called Subways. And right from the get-go, we have the bass and the drums, they're locked in. We have the guitar sounds, and he's creating these sort of harmonic effects, which I absolutely love. And then in the background, we have this droning sitar-like thing, which is really cool. I'm not sure whether it's a synthesizer or sitar itself. And then we have the intensity of Roddy as he comes in with his lead vocals. And as I said, they can be a little bit off-putting, but if you want to sort of channel them into something else, Talking Heads-ish, maybe think about first album, second album, Talking Heads, and the intensity of the neurotic intensity of somebody like David Byrne there. I pretty much love everything about this song, except the chorus could be a little bit stronger. But even in the back, they've got a lot of the background vocals. They've got a lot of echoing of the word subway, subway, subway. Really cool. You know, you listen to these things and you get a lot out of it. And the way that the synthesizer takes off at the end is also really interesting as well. This is definitely a possible pick for me, and we're going to find out that later, I think. But it's a great way to kick off the side. And let's have some lyrics written by Roddy. Down here, I have never felt guilty. There's no sun screaming at my eyes. On this train, I'm never lonely. People smile from pictures on a wall. And that's great sort of poetry, lyric writing to just completely open that subway system to us and the experience, the alienated experience of the writer. Great stuff. And then we move from there with a disassociated persona into a song called The Angry Young Men. And we have at the start sort of like a spaceship's taking off at the beginning. So while we've got sort of a lot of post-punk and on the first song, now we're moving straight into, the first song post-punk and new wave, but now really getting into that new wave, and we get into sort of a straight Gene Genie type glam rock song, which is pretty cool. And now I get, when I was listening to this, I get who the singer reminds me of, and it's John Lydon. It's almost like he doesn't serve the song because he is the song. It's a howl of rage and panic and paranoia. And it's so appropriate given the song title, The Angry Young Men. It's worth listening to again and giving it a few spins. I'm certainly liking it a lot more than I originally did. Let's go on to, what's the next one? Next question. And again, it's another really cool start to a song. It reminds me a lot of sort of a cross between Roxy Music and Gary Newman, and that's not a bad thing. Again, we've got these beautiful chiming guitars of Roddy. I mean, it's really, not Roddy, of Robert. It's really worth listening to this album just to hear Robert Goldstein play, to tell you the truth. And Roddy has dialed back his paranoia intention at this point, and it sounds great. But, one of the things that I certainly when I played it for the first time, is I felt that I was getting neurotic and there was this tension building up because while the music was setting down this beautiful bed, I was waiting for Roddy to start singing. And sometimes that's rewarded and sometimes it ain't. And towards the end of this song, the band throws in a section which almost forces Roddy to go into playing like Spinal Tap to 11 or to infinity, but he reins it in. And the last 45 seconds of this is just an absolute sublime instrumental fade out. Absolutely wonderful. This is another possibility for keeping me in touch with this album, which I'm really digging. And what would be a song about neuroses and panic and paranoia without a song called Frenzy? But with a name like this, I'm a bit worried early about those vocals. It's repetitive and it's a bit dull and it stays on the same sort of garage punk type aesthetic for quite too long. And Roddy has discovered the Echoplex or something like that, and his demented groaning over the top really takes the song over the top as well. I'll need a few more plays on this, I think. Then we go over to the last song on side one, which is called Ring Ring, My Telephone's Talking. And this was the second single from the album. But to me, I'm a little bit bored by this. It's a bit simple and it's just not quite for me. Although I do like the section towards the end, well, which is kind of highly ironic, I suppose. It's the old, why do I bang my head against a wall? Because it feels so good when I finish. That type of thing. But wait, no! It's a false ending and they come back again. And there's more ringing to come. But wait, again, there's another revelation here, a guitar solo. And it's absolutely gorgeous. He's a great player, Robert Goldstein. And I never thought I would be saying this about this song, Ring Ring, My Telephone's Talking, or whatever it's called. Ring Ring, My Telephone's Talking. But this is a great way to finish. And not only is it a great solo at the end, but it's a great way to finish this side of music. So fantastic. Thank you, Robert, for getting us out of that. And again, we get to the end of the first side, and there's not one song which I've sort of picked, but there's two or three real possibilities for picking duties, if that makes sense, to be picked. Anyway, let's move over to side two. And that starts off with, what is it? The Only One of You. And right from the beginning, we have these chiming, wonderful feedbacking guitars, and we've got a floor tom being introduced. And it sounds like a single. I don't think it was released as a single. And it is one of those key moments where, I suppose as a singer, you get a band playing something for you, which is really cool, and you have the opportunity to go over the top of it and to really add to the song and create something absolutely special. And we sort of get there with a melody, and as well as your lyrics, of course, but with a melody. And we sort of get halfway there. The chorus is nothing to write home about because that's what I always like to do. I like to go to the post office and fill out a form and a letter and send it home and write home to myself. But anyway, there is an Eastern touch to the solo, which is absolutely groovy. I absolutely love it. And we return to it again at the end. So we get two bites of the cherry of this Eastern guitar solo, which is rhythm solo, which is great. And I sort of posit that if you like Echo and the Bunnymen, if you like the Church for that period of time, you're going to really love this song. And there's even a really strong sense of those little guys from the Little Birds and 8 Miles High at the end. This is a huge song in terms of this album, and it is definitely picked. I hope my finger wasn't going up my nose there when I did that. Anyway, lyrics here from Roddy. Your boyish hair, a naked face. We collide and I'm in outer space. And I love you, the only one of you, incredible you. And what's this boy to do? I like it. It's got the rhythm is punchy. It gets it going. Oh, beautiful. Next up, we have Luca Brasi. Now, you may know or remember that name of Luca Brasi, the most feared assassin hitman in the Godfather movies. An interesting choice here. I think there's an Australian band called Luca Brasi as well. And it starts really gloomy enough considering the title and the subject matter. I love the whirling and the bubbling of the keyboards, which sort of underpin everything. It's really futuristic. And the first foreboding verse was really getting there for me, and it was building almost like, dare I say it, a Joy Division song. But then we go into double time, and so Roddy's gone from quite controlled, mellifluous vocal into now something which is more shouty. But let's forget that and then go on to this slow instrumental section. So it's speeding up and it's slowing down, and we have those dual bubbling synths in the guitar solo, and it features a good dollop of reverb and delay, and it fades out with the synthesizer, and Robbie complements the normal speed sounds until the two chord double time punk section is reintroduced. But it doesn't last long, and we're given another moment to astral travel with that sublime synthesizer and guitar, and it's bloody good. I recommend it to you. The lyrics: I drift off and begin to dream. In my dream, you're underwater. In my dream, you sleep with the fishes. I'm sure we remember that if we've seen The Godfather. This is a song which has kept getting better and better throughout the 3 plays that I gave it. And it definitely also has a psych quality, a neo-psych quality, which is 2 songs in a row that's being introduced. It's picked. Beautiful. Then we bring the mood down for the next song, which is called Tina Grey. And for Urban Verbs, this almost sounds like it's a bit slick, and a bit polished. Seems like there's a violin in there, or is it all guitar, maybe on an EBO or something like that. And there's something Celtic about it. Now, maybe that's because I've been listening to Big Country's The Crossing album, and that's all Celtic. More on that to come. I've just realized I have to play it 3 times. Roddy is no Brian Ferry, but the lyrics here are confronting and quality. We've got the verbs of the urban life. It's he's a good wordsmith here, and the guitar playing is again fantastic. It's almost worth keeping the album. If you don't like the voice, it's almost worth keeping it just to hear him play guitar. As I said, also, it gets better the more you play it. And that leads us into the last song on the album. I think it's the last song. Yes, The Good Life. And this one just jumps straight out of the gate, and it has a real Gary Newman feel to it, and it's every bit as good. You also will note the Roxy Music early 70s influence here. I love the interplay between the synthesizers and the guitars. The bass and the drums are just holding everything up beautiful. I'm interested in the band here as much as anything else. And as I'm listening, I'm really starting to focus in on those elements. It requires quality, concentration in your listening, which is kind of strange when you're talking about a post-punk new wave band, but it doesn't matter. These Robin and Robert are providing everything in terms of the sonic palette that I need. It briefly goes off the rails in the middle of the song, but the band gets the train back on the rails, heading towards the end of the line. And then the band cuts off, and we hear this chant that Roddy starts by going 3:02 Eastern Standard Time. And he goes from 3:02, I think, up to 3:06. We've got some lyrics and cut out, and we hear these chanting, and that's really good. And these lyrics, I do want to read a few to you because it gives you a sense of the cinematic quality of them and almost the Lou Reed-esqueness of them, the grimy urban city life. But this is sort of not about that, but it's something similar. Jan and Larry bought a ranch house in LA. They grow their food in the backyard. Larry works on his cars in the driveway, and Jan shops at convenience stores. That's the good life. You see, they found the good life in LA. Health foods and house plants, limitless credit cards, friends with smiles from a cigarette ad. They've sent me a letter along with a picture of 2 people I don't recognize. That's the good life. You see, they lead the good life in LA. I kind of really dig that. Anyway, that's the end of the song and thus the end of the side. So let's get back to the 3 plays, 3 picks idea and the structure of using that, because I don't think there was any doubt in my mind that before I started this that I was going to be giving away and purging this album by Urban Verbs. Not so now. There's a negotiation to be made here. And the negotiation is between the music and the lyrics and the vocals. And what I found with listening to it 3 times is that I got so much out of the first two, the music and the lyrics, that it sort of mollified the impact of the vocals to a certain degree. And so I'm seeing them as part of the sound, the part of what it is to be an urban verb. An urban verb. So anyway, I've made the crucial and radical and instrumental step of deciding to take the whole of the second side. So that means I'm going for 4 picks. I'm being a bit jealous, a bit generous maybe, but that's the way I'm going to go. But the process of going through it with 3 plays and forcing myself to do that has actually improved my listening experience. And given me a lot of pleasure along the way. And a reminder to you that if music of any size, shape, substance, or subways gives you pleasure, then who am I to argue with your opinion? Anyway, that's the end of the video. If you'd like to see more of my music reviews, there's the links to them, and I hope you do. I hope you get into them, and I hope you find something that's enjoyable. Talk to me in the comments. It's always brilliant to meet you and talk with you. And until next time, I hope you're doing really well, staying cool, and bye now.